In the United States, a new proposal is making headlines and raising big questions for the global talent, specifically for the Indian professionals here. But before the panic begins, there is one thing that you need to understand very clearly. This is not a law. This is not approved. This is not active. It is only a proposed bill. Ladies and gentlemen, this draft has been introduced by a Republican lawmaker led by Ali Crane, and it is called the End H-1B Visa Abuse Act of 2026. Well, the name itself, it signals the intent, right? Reform, restriction, and a major reset of the current system. So, let me tell you what exactly is being proposed here. The biggest headline is 3-year freeze on the new H-1B visa. That means no fresh approvals during that period of time. Not a reduction though, an outright pause. Well, along this, there is an annual visa cap that could be cut sharply from 65,000 to 25,000. That is a massive drop in opportunity. The bill also talks about stricter rules for the companies hiring foreign workers, higher minimum salary requirements that are being proposed to ensure that firms cannot hire cheaper labor from abroad. Here, some versions of proposals even suggest tighter restrictions on dependents, which could really impact the families that are moving together. And after the pause, the whole system could be completely redesigned. You know why are lawmakers pushing this? Well, supporters argue that the H-1B visa system, it is being misused. They claim companies prefer the foreign workers because they can pay them less, which they say affects the job opportunity for the Americans. In fact, there is also criticism that large tech companies benefit the most from this current structure, while smaller domestic workers, they lose the cut. But here comes the most important reality check. Ladies and gentlemen, nothing has changed yet. The current H-1B process, it remains exactly the same. Applications, lotteries, and approvals. Everything is continuing under existing rule. Well, for this proposal to become a law, it must go through a very long process. It has to pass both the House of Representatives and the Senate, and then be signed by the President. Well, this progress, it can take months or even years, and many bills, they never make it that far. In fact, history shows that immigration reforms in the US often face heavy debates and political division. Bills are frequently modified, they are delayed, they are completely rejected. So while the proposal sounds very dramatic, its future, it is still uncertain. However, the conversation itself, it's important because it reflects a larger shift in the US politics towards stricter immigration policy, more scrutiny of work visa, and a focus on protecting domestic jobs. Well, this debate is not really new, but it is becoming louder. If such a proposal were to pass in future, well, the impact could be significant. New applicants, specifically in tech sector, they would face biggest challenge ever. International students who are studying in the US, who often rely on transitioning from student visas to H-1B work visa, they could see their career path disrupted. Companies that depend on global talent, particularly in tech, in IT, in research, they would also need to rethink hiring strategies. In fact, countries like India, which contribute a large scale of H-1B professional, they could feel the impact the most. Indian workers form a large portion of the US tech workforce, and any restriction on visas, it directly affects this talent pipeline. In fact, there is broader economic angle here. The H-1B visa program has long been linked to innovation, startup, and growth in tech sector. Critics argue it will affect the local jobs, while supporters say it fills critical skills gap. You know, this clash of the viewers, it is exactly why reforms become so complex. In the end, here's where it leads you. With clarity, not confusion. Yes, there is a proposal. Well, it's not a law, and the final outcome, it is still uncertain.